All right, our next speaker, Stacy Boegem, hates the term life coach, although she is in fact a certified life and business coach, a motivational speaker, and the creator of Momstermind. I love that. After a career of practicing law in Manhattan and serving as the chief operating officer for a Web 2.0 tech startup, Stacy is now a mompreneur, mastering the art of squeezing a hefty workload into the hours between school drop-off and school pickup, and protecting her time with her little boy. Please welcome Stacy. You want to come up here? I'll hold you. There you go.
There's something about us coaches, we like to be out from behind the podium, right? So you started a trend, Dr. Hall. So thanks for having me. I'm Stacy Boegem. I am so thrilled to be with you guys today. I have to tell you, when I first spoke to Jessica a few months ago about speaking with you, she said that the theme of this conference is redefining success beyond wealth and achievement. And I said, oh my God, how did we find each other? This is my wheelhouse. This is what I do. My business is called The Happiness Agenda because I believe that happiness is the key to success. And that's what we should all be working on. Thank you. And focused on. And the science actually proves that to be the case. Harvard professors have done studies and research, and they have proven that when people are happy, when they're doing what they love, including in a corporate environment, not just entrepreneurs, then they are more successful, they meet their benchmarks, they have better sales, the morale in the company is better, the whole 9 yards. So this is my wheelhouse. I'm thrilled to be here. My background before I got into the coaching and speaking world was as an attorney. I practiced law in New York City. I did securities litigation, class action litigation, and I was thrilled. I loved it. I married a man that I met in law school. We actually, for a period of time, were in the same law firm, which was fantastic because we were at work from about 8:30, 9 a.m. until anywhere between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. So the fact that we could meet in the halls or have lunch together was really fabulous. I actually thought of myself as happy at the time, but then I had a baby. And I was working crazy lawyer hours, and I was in Manhattan, and I'm originally from New Orleans, so I had no family nearby. And I realized that this baby needed to eat and sleep and have its diaper changed. And I didn't really bring him into the world to completely outsource that from dawn till dusk and dusk till dawn or whatever it is, right? I needed to see him like at least a little bit. And in the legal practice in New York, that there was no even little bit. It would have been maybe just in the morning as I was blow drying my hair, and then the next morning. So I very, very unexpectedly, abruptly resigned from my firm and with my husband's support. And I said, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do next, but I know that right now, this is where I need to be. I still had about 50 pounds to go. I gained 70 pounds when I was pregnant. And I'm wearing super high shoes today, so you might not realize, but I'm like 5'2.5", so 70 pounds on 5'2" I had a long ways to go. So here I am home, I had no clothes that fit, and I was breastfeeding exclusively, and I was like, okay, I've got to figure out what's next. So we decided I could take a year off, just fully indulge in motherhood. We knew it would probably be the only chance I'd have to have a baby. Fertility was a big issue for us, and it turned out to be the case. So we're very blessed with a ridiculously adorable and very bright little 6-year-old boy. And so we decided to take a year, and I would figure out at the end of the year what was next for me, because I've always been driven and ambitious and a career woman. And so it was, while one of the greatest years of my life, I was fully immersed in motherhood and made a lot of new mom friends, and still in Manhattan and where everything's walking. So I was just really got to know my neighborhood a lot better and really built a community around me of other moms and kids. I was very happy, sort of, because at the same time, I was suffering from a full-blown identity crisis. I never thought for a second, my mom's an attorney, I was a competitive debater, I was, student body president, I majored in philosophy, I was just always like going, achieving, and then now I was like, who am I? I would go to a cocktail party and people would say, oh, what do you do? And, well, I'm an attorney, but I'm not practicing at the moment, I'm taking a break, and they'd go, oh, good for you, and then move on. And I was like, but I'm still like something, and so it was rough. And so it was like this dichotomy, and it made me realize that happiness is more than just like experiencing joy, and that happiness is really important, and it requires a little bit of work and getting clear of what your happy really is and doing that hard work. And so after a lot of research and talking to a lot of people, and I took a brief stint in a technology firm, but so many people said, Stacy, you've been coaching your whole life, you like in all different varieties of ways. Legitimize it and charge people for it. I was like, oh, okay. All the fears set in and all of that. I started reading a lot, and then I started working with a coach. I got certified in coaching. And over the years, it's been about 4 years, I've really seen with working with my clients who are primarily, no surprise, women who had a professional career, took a break to raise their children, and are now trying to figure out what's next. And that's my sweet spot. That's who I love to work with the most for obvious reasons, because I've been there and I can totally relate to it. And I understand that for those women, that whatever's next for them it can't be at the expense of their ability to be present in their children's lives. It has to work together. So there's really 3 areas that we always end up focusing on with all my clients, and those are the 3 things that I want to share with you today. The first is, and in order to get clear on these, actually, let's define happiness the way the scientists define it. According to Harvard professor Sean Achor and the Happiness Advantage, he says that happiness is experiencing pleasure with feelings of meaning and purpose. So it sounds very fabulous, but very hoity-toity. It's like, what really is that? So I see that as, to me, the translation is when you are of service in the world in a way that honors your own unique strengths and talents. Because if you're doing something that's your own unique strength and talent, that means when you do it, you're in the zone, you probably enjoy it. We pretty much love to do the things we're good at doing most of the time. And so if you can find a way to do what you love to do and be of service in the world, so you get that feeling of it being so rewarding, you've got it made, right? So that's happiness, being of service in a way that honors your unique strengths and talents. So what gets in the way of this for most people, and what I want to focus on are these 3 things. Number 1, getting a handle on your limiting beliefs. So is everybody familiar with the term limiting beliefs? Can you raise your hand if you know that term? Okay. So since I have very little time, I'm just going to tell you, since there were not a lot of hands, it's a belief that you have in your mind that limits you from taking action. So oftentimes it's a story that you're replaying in your head over and over. You might have heard it from your ex-roommate. It might have been something that one of your parents planted. You can't do X, Y, Z. You're not good enough. You don't have the right training. You don't have the right education. You're too young. You're too old. Whatever that story is that you have in your mind, those are limiting beliefs. And the science shows that when you change the belief, right, and change the story, the reality changes. The belief has a direct effect on the actions that we take and the effort we put in. And a beautiful example of that is in the 1950s, research, and they did all these algorithms and all these ergonomic studies, and they said in the early 1950s, it is absolutely impossible for a human being to run a mile in under 4 minutes. They had ruled it out, right? Impossible. And then in 1954, what do you know? Roger Bannister, a British runner, ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. What happened after that? Many more, right? They beat that 4-minute mark time and time again, like the next month, because suddenly it became possible, right? Someone did it. It was like, so the whole world's belief changed about how fast a human being was able to run a mile. So it's real. It's not just hoity-toity motivational blah, blah, where you're like, yeah, whatever. It's actually scientifically true. So when you change what you believe you're capable of, you actually strive more, you take different actions, and you put more effort into it, and then you prove to yourself that you really are capable. So that's number 1, getting a handle on your limiting beliefs. Number 2 is the majority of my clients, as I'm sure you would expect, come to me talking about work-life balance, that they're stressed out and they're frazzled. And through thousands of hours of working with people now over the last 4 years in this work, I realized that even having work-life balance as a goal in and of itself is a disaster. Because when you make that the goal, then you're constantly trying to get there, and you really never do. And if you picture like an old school scale in, high school chemistry class, right, where 2 sides, if you have sand in one side and water in the other, and you're trying to get them perfectly balanced, even if you're like, think you have perfection, it's still jiggling a little bit, right? It's always like this. It's not static, which means you never actually reach the end goal. It's like you still are going for it. It also means that as a woman who's in business or working and raising children and trying to also be a good wife and a good daughter and a good friend and write thank you notes and buy birthday presents and bake the cake and make a homemade Halloween costume and show up to things like this and then follow up with all those great business cards that you're going to bring home, right? There's so much to do that if you're trying to get this perfect picture of work-life balance and one ball drops, oh my God, it's like total self-loathing. I can't believe I let that happen. I'm such a flake, right? So forget about work-life balance. What I work on with people is work-life synergy. And I know I'm talking fast. That's the debate training, and it's the fact that Jessica's sitting right here, and I'm avoiding looking at her because I know she's probably going to go, okay, be done. So work-life synergy, what is that? That's when the energy that you spend, note I'm not saying time, but the energy that you spend is an accurate reflection of your clearly held values, priorities, and desired feelings. Thank you. Who said that? Thank you. So what does that mean? It means start with what's important to me. What do I care about? Right? Where do I want to be? Not only just with the minutes of my day, but with the focus, with my attention. What's important? How do I want to feel on a day-to-day basis? Do I want to feel frazzled and stressed out? Or do I want to feel like I have a little bit of time? Right? When you start with what's important, your values, your priorities, and how you want to feel, thank you. Perfect. Then you focus your energy in those places. And the reason I say energy and not time is because anyone here, and this is the example that I think I use the most because it's so easy to understand, anyone here who has children knows that you could spend 4 or 5 hours with your children in the car, running errands, going to Publix, going to Target, checking your BlackBerry, your iPhone in between, right, answering a work call, and then picking up lunch. And you've spent 4 or 5 hours with your children, but were you really present? Were you really paying attention to your children? Were you really connecting? Probably not. If you spend 20 minutes at home after school and you're, completely focused on your child playing Monopoly, that 20 minutes is incredibly rewarding. Your child is really happy to have your attention and your focus, and it really feels good. So when you put those 20 minutes of focused energy in, then what ends up happening is when you go back to doing the work stuff, you don't have the guilt that you were ignoring or neglecting your kid. You felt like you put in good focus and energy. Whereas if you spend 5 hours with your kid, so that's a lot of time, you're still going to go back with the guilt because you're going to feel like I squandered my time, I wasn't there. So that's why we talk about work-life synergy, really focusing your energy on your values, your priorities, and your desired feelings. And the third part is we talk about being present in the moment, and it's critically important. And the way that's discussed in a lot of the meditation circles is being in a state of open awareness. Is anybody familiar with that term, open awareness? So what I like about that, as opposed to being present in the moment, is being present in the moment is like so overused at this point, like kind of like, the word empowered, like we're gonna get empowered. It's like, what does that mean? Being present in the moment is so critical. And what that means is having an open awareness. So when you're driving in the car and you see a rainbow, like what happened to us twice already this week, and then again, evidently this morning, my son told me, it's actually like being aware that there is a rainbow and seeing it and then appreciating and going, that's really amazing that there's a rainbow of colors in the sky and that happens like as a natural phenomenon. Just actually having an open awareness of the world around us and what's going on. That's being present in the moment, right? So any moment we're in, be there in that moment. That doesn't mean you can't be on Facebook right now. That's fine because we all wear many hats. And so you're doing business. That's fine. But it means that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, be in your body and live it, because your life is your time. Your time is just a series of back-to-back moments. So if you're not present in your moment, whatever moment that is, then you wake up and you go, what happened to the last 10 years? And what am I doing? But if you're present and you're really taking things in, then you don't wake up later going, I missed it, right? So those are the three. The number one, get a check on your limiting beliefs, right? As they say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Number two, work-life synergy, right? Get clear on your values, your priorities, and your desired feelings. Focus your energy in those places and get on the no train, right? Drop the things that don't feed the most important things in your life. And number three, be in a state of open awareness as often as possible. And when you do those three things and you honor what's important to you, that's what I call keeping your happiness at the top of the agenda. And when you focus on that, which I'm committed to focusing on, the success follows. And this is a beautiful example of this, because when I started this business 4 years ago, I thought, I want to speak to big groups of women. And here I am, I'm speaking to a big group of women. So thank you. Thank you, Jessica.